All right, 13-2 in my picks last week. We did great. I missed out on the Rams Seattle game because I was too late. So this time we're going to make sure to get all 16 games. So first game of the week is going to be Cowboys Commanders. Pretty meh matchup. It was supposed to be a good Christmas game when they first scheduled it, of course, but now it's pretty meh. But we're going to go with the Cowboys on this one. Commanders recently have been playing with a more heat, so I don't feel too great about the pick. But the Cowboys, just one of the best offenses. They're like fifth in total points. Their defense has at least stepped up a little bit since they got Quentin Williams. And then we're not even too sure with the Commanders. They got Mariota. They got Josh Johnson, whatever is going on. I'm thinking that the Cowboys offense, Commanders defense is not near the Chargers level, so they should be able to do a lot better than 17 points. And I'm just not so sure the Commanders will be able to keep up with that. So kind of like a 27-20 score would be very safe. That'd be a push. But going to go with the Cowboys on this one. Just a much better team, a lot more to play for. Well, they're eliminated, but all right, and then Lions, Vikings, very similar line, 7.5. Vikings going to be without JJ McCarthy. It looks like that didn't impact the line at all. But Homeboy who came in, he played just like JJ McCarthy. So this is going to either be the only way the Vikings I see covering this one is it being a really low scoring game. It really took them to barely beat the Giants, who are god awful this year. Um, with what 13-10, so 16-13. And the Lions, even though they're eliminated from the playoffs, they're just so talented on the offensive side. They can really run up the score. So it's another one of those. Vikings might put up 10 points. They might put up 14 points. And I could see the Lions at least scoring 21, which would be a cover 21-10, 27-14. So Lions covering that one seems like a pretty easy one to me. Then we have the Broncos Chiefs. Huge line, huge line. Two touchdowns. Chiefs obviously on their third string guy, homeboy from Nigeria. He actually played pretty well for his first NFL start. He might actually be better than Gardner Minshew. But you see this number over here? You see this over under 36.5? That is crazy. They obviously expect the Chiefs not to score really any points. Broncos just lost to the Jags. They got kind of embarrassed, honestly. So I think they'll be coming with some fire. Bo Nix, they'll be wanting to get hot before the playoff starts. Bo Nix will be hopefully getting it better together. I can really see the Chiefs. Broncos have a great defense. See the Chiefs only scoring another low scorer, another 10 points. It's really just a terrible Christmas lineup. Really unfortunate. It wasn't supposed to be terrible when they started the season. All of these games should have been good games, but we're stuck with a lot of meh. And even though this is a huge, massive line, I'm still going to take the Broncos to cover. Bo Nix might let me down. We will certainly see. It's well within the possibility that they only score 21 points, and I would expect the Chiefs to be able to score, at least 7. So this one also feeling pretty mad about, but I just like the Broncos competing for the first seed. Just got embarrassed by the Jags, come out heating, trying to get back on a hot streak before the playoff starts, and then the Chiefs are just so flat, third string quarterback. So I like the Broncos in that one. And then we have Texans Chargers, really close one. They have the Texans as the underdog, maybe because the Chargers are at home. Very similar teams. Justin Herbert was finally able to get his get right game against the Cowboys. Perfect team to get your get right. He's playing a lot better now. Texans just stumbled against the Raiders last week. Not really what you want to see. They were one of the hottest teams before going into that game. Phenomenal defense, excellent defense, and then their offense was starting to get clicking. And then last game it really was struggling. They got saved by some penalties. But despite that, I'm still going to pick the Texans here. I think that the Texans are one of those most dangerous teams. I mean, Chargers have a great defense, but it's certainly not the Texans' defense. And I think that the Texans' offense, Chargers have also had their offensive woes as of late. Cowboys game, not included in that. So I'm going to go with the Texans. I'm just going to go with the better defense. It's going to be a slugfest for sure. They had the line only at 39.5. I could easily see this one being a 2017 game, kind of like that. No matter what, I think it'll go down to the wire. But I'm going to go with the Texans on this one, just a better defense, and hopefully CJ Stroud can get it together, make my pick look a little bit better. And then we have the Ravens at Packers. Honestly, shocked this line is only 3. The Ravens have been really piss poor. Packers are still contending for the playoffs. They're absolutely not a lock, so they have to play with all their heart. And the Ravens are now eliminated. They're really just playing for pride at this point. So Malik Willis or Jordan Love. Jordan Love was taking his first steps to come back, so Jordan Love should be able to be good to go for this game. And for that reason, I'm gonna take the Packers, even though they lost Micah Parsons and everything else. That defense is still really respectable. Ravens defense has actually been one of the best since week 6, but that offense has just been so mad. Derrick Henry keeps fumbling the ball. Not sure what's going on with Lamar this year. Just hasn't been his same old self. So I think the Packers will cover this one. Could see them winning by 7. Could even see a double-digit win. Just kind of depends which Jordan Love we get. He's definitely more consistent than he has been of past years, but still a bit of a struggle. Still don't really know what you're going to get from him, but still like the Packers. And then we have the Seahawks over the Panthers. Another huge line, 7.5. I think an important thing to note is this is not a primetime game. Sam Darnold balls the hell out when it's not prime time. When it is prime time, he tends to choke. He got lucky with that Rams game. Shaheed and Charbonnet really saved him on those crazy plays. But 7.5, that's a really tough one to pick. Panthers are leading their division. Obviously, they're going to be playing with as much fire as possible. I could totally see them losing by a touchdown, but that Seahawks defense is nasty. Still don't have a whole lot of faith in Bryce Young, so I think that they're going to cause some serious problems for Bryce Young, and the Panthers defense is not very vaunted. Seahawks got a ton of weapons, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one. Another one that I don't feel too great about. If it was 6.5, I'd feel a whole lot better than 7.5. So now they got to win by 8 or 2 scores, but I just have a lot of faith in that Seahawks team. They just beat the Rams, who I think are the best team in the NFL. They're clearly a Super Bowl contender, one of the best teams, and just because of the amount of gap between those two teams, I'm going to absolutely go with the Seahawks on this one. And then we have Cardinals Bengals. Man, Bengals favored by 7. They just had a heater against the Dolphins. However, the Dolphins just benched Tua. Quinn Ewers is starting. It was probably pretty hard to get them motivated to play for Quinn Ewers. So this is another tough one. I really do not like how big these lines are this week. But I'm going to be a little crazy here. This is going to sound crazy. I'm going to take the Cardinals to cover. I think that they are still fighting, still very competitive. They've had a ton of injuries, really sad to see. But they've still been really competitive. Bengals defense is still really bad. Jacoby Brissett, he's at least a serviceable starter. He could be a starter on one of the bottom teams like the Cardinals. So he's not too bad. And Bengals, I don't know, maybe they're riding high off of that Dolphins win. They come out a little flat. I really wish this line was like plus 7.5. Would have been a lot easier. If it was Bengals minus 4.5 or something like that, I probably would have went with the Bengals. But just going to anticipate a close game here. Take a push, that would be fine. Plus 7, they lose by 7. Just a one possession game is really what I'm thinking. So going to go on the Cardinal side for this one. And then we have the Bucks versus the Dolphins. I think, let me see if it's still Quinn Ewers starting, because that'll definitely impact my decision here. Dolphins starting QB. Yep, Quinn Ewers is still probably going to be their starter. He obviously did not do too great. He did better than I expected, honestly. I thought it was going to be a really bad performance. But Buccaneers still fighting for the division. They've been in a huge funk, but when you're playing against Miami, without Tua, they're just really not motivated to play for Quinn Ewers. He's definitely not the future. It's kind of a placeholder. So Dolphins really need to find their quarterback. Buccaneers have Baker. I love Baker, even though he has been on a huge, like 10-game rough streak. So still going to take the Buccaneers here. Just don't think Quinn Ewers is going to really be able to put up points. Buccaneers also have a really solid rushing defense. Dolphins are definitely a rushing team with HN and everybody else rushing. So I think the Buccaneers are just kind of built to be able to stop this Dolphins offense with Quinn Ewers. They're going to be rush oriented, and they have a solid rushing defense. So take the Buccaneers to cover the 5.5. They can just win by a touchdown, and they'll still cover. So I like that one a lot. Then we have the Jags going in against the Colts. Philip Rivers may or may not be playing. It's probably going to be Riley Leonard. No real reason to put a 44-year-old out there. He did great in that 49ers game. He was lighting it up. All the pre-snap calls and everything else was cool to see. But Jags are on such a heater. Best offense in the NFL the last 6 weeks. Trevor Lawrence has been balling out. Colts are their defense just completely gave up last game, so I totally could see the Jaguars put up another 49ers performance, another 40-point game on the Colts. And Riley Leonard, especially if it is going to be him, they will absolutely not be able to cover that. So Jags minus 6.5. Feel really confident about this one. This is a really easy pick for me. Just kind of depends whether Philip Rivers is out there to whether they can be more competitive or not. But even with Phillip Rivers, that Colts defense just gave up last game, and Jags are even more offensive than the 49ers are. So, going to take an easy cover for that one. And then we have the Patriots against the Jets, 13.5. Real easy pick for me. Jets have been terrible with Brady Cook. The Saints just absolutely destroyed them. Who dat, baby? But Patriots are still fighting for that 1 seed. They got something to prove. You want to keep a hot streak going. Drake May still in the argument for MVP, but it's pretty much locked up by Matt Stafford. So they're going to be at their best. They're going to be playing hard. They're going to be wanting to go in with some momentum into the playoffs. So definitely like the Patriots to cover this one. This one could be another huge blowout, a 30-7 game or 30-10 game. I could see that absolutely. So really like the Patriots covering on this one. And then we have my Saints against the Tennessee Titans. We have the first overall pick against the best rookie quarterback this year. I really like the Saints in this one, -3. Tyler Shuck has been on a roll. He now has 2 straight games over 300 yards. Saints are on a 3-game winning streak. I expect them to make it 4. While it might be a competitive game, -3, win by a field goal, win by a touchdown. I still like the -3 if it's going to be a one-possession game. Odds are that they'll be able to cover that 3 points. And Titans have, although they have certainly got a lot more heat, Cam Ward is really starting to get better. They've scored over 20 twice, 2 straight weeks now. But Saints are definitely the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew. Saints are definitely a higher caliber team. There's a lot of guys who are going to retire, so there's a lot of fight left in them. Cam Jordan, he might be done this year. I expect a pretty solid performance from him. He's going to be playing his all. Taysom Hill's probably going to be done after this year. I expect him to be doing his all. Him as the lead back has been really interesting. But I'm really just doing this because of Tyler Shuck. He's been balling. I have a lot of faith in the guy. He's built like a prototype QB. His only real problem was the injury history and how old he is. But as far as athletic ability and prototype QB, he absolutely checks all the marks. 38.5 is a really low points. I think it'll probably go somewhere around that score. 24-20, 24-17, 21-17. I could totally see this being pretty close to that over/under. But I'm going to take the Saints to cover that one. Field goal is a pretty easy one. And then we have the Steelers only favored by 3 against the Browns. Maybe it's because they're at home. Maybe it's because that NFC North, they always have problems with the Browns. But Steelers can lock up their division, or they already have it locked up. Doesn't really matter. Steelers are pretty solid. I picked them to beat the Lions last week. I'm absolutely going to pick them to beat the Browns. Another really low one possession score kind of thing. -3, maybe that's a lot of respect for Shedeur Sanders. We'll see what happens next year with him, but it's just not his year yet. He's still really, really raw. That was kind of his problem coming out of college, as he plays like a college quarterback. So this one seems like an easier pick for me. Take the Steelers -3. They've been really rolling in the last game against the Lions. They hardly punted at all, if they even did. Pretty much every possession ended at least in a field goal, and they were rolling. Browns have a much more vaunted defense, and obviously Myles Garrett is trying to get that sack record, but Aaron Rodgers is definitely the guy to get rid of the ball, play safe moves, be efficient with the ball, so I like the Steelers to cover that one. And then we have a battle of the two poopers. This is the battle for the number 1 overall pick. Who can suck worse in this game? Giants are actually favored by 1.5. I'm going to go against the grain, although I do think the Raiders are worse than the Giants. Jackson Dart has just really been on a terrible run, playing really piss poor. Geno Smith is back for the Raiders. They almost beat the Texans, a great defense with some huge gash plays. Giants have definitely been prone to letting out busted coverages and everything else. So I really like the Raiders in this one. +1.5. I expect them to win. Giants have been really terrible. They'll probably get the first overall pick for their second year in a row. Maybe that can help build them for next year, because I do think they have some solid momentum between Cam Skattebo and Jackson Dart. They're really clicking as teammates, and they've brought a lot of energy to the Giants. So next year's maybe their year, but not this year. They're still the worst team. So going to take the Raiders to win that one. And then we have the Eagles at the Bills. The Bills are favored by 1.5. Both these teams still have a bunch to play for. Bills are still in contention for that 1 seed, although it'd take a lot. And they're still fighting to take their division, so they're going to be coming at their absolute most. Eagles have now locked up their division. Not as much to play for, but you still want to get whatever's been going on with them to get right. In my power rankings, I did pick the Eagles as the better team here, but I'm going to go with the Bills on this one. I just think it's Josh Allen's day. He really sucked in the last game. Typically, following a really poor performance from Josh Allen, he really turns it up the next week. And maybe Saquon. This would definitely be like a get right game for Saquon against that terrible Bills rush defense. He did pretty solid in his last game. We would hope for the Eagles' chances for the Super Bowl that he can really get it together. He was the main reason why they were so dominant last year. But the Eagles also just have a loaded roster. So kind of scared of this one, but I'm just going to anticipate some kind of Josh Allen super heroics. Him with his pitiful performance last week, I'd expect a much better outing this time around. And they're still fighting for that division lead. So a lot more to play for the Bills and the Eagles, so I'm going to take the Bills. And then we have the Bears as underdogs to the 49ers. Really interesting. Both these teams, I had them right next to each other in my power rankings. San Francisco is at home. They've been absolutely killing it offensively. They haven't even punted it for a whole month now. Killing it. Second ranked offense in this past month behind the Jaguars. Bears, really well rounded team. You have great rushing attack with their two running backs. Really opportunistic defense that forces turnovers. Caleb Williams is doing pretty well. Bears are a really rounded team. 49ers, they would have been one of the best teams. Really unfortunate the amount of injuries, especially to Fred Warner. So this is a really tough one to pick. Really tough one to pick. Considering uh, how just hot of a streak the 49ers are, I'm going to take the 49ers, even though I don't think they're as good holistically to the Bears. I just don't really have that faith quite yet in Caleb Williams in a shootout style of game. I think Brock Purdy, he's been a lot better. As long as the 49ers can avoid those turnovers, they should be able to beat the Bears. I don't think Caleb Williams can necessarily keep up with them yet. So 49ers to cover the 3 points. 3 points is a pretty low one, almost to pick them. 2.5 is really what you like to see, but -3, I'll take a push if the 49ers win by a field goal. And then you have the Rams over the Falcons, 8.5. 8.5 is a weird line. Rams definitely should have won that Seahawks game. They lost. I still think they're the best team in the NFL, but sometimes things just don't go your way, like a punt return touchdown or a crazy 2 point conversion. Sometimes it just happens. But Rams have MVP Matt Stafford, two amazing weapons with Devontae Adams, who will most likely be back, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, studs on defense. Jared Verse is awesome. And they're just holistically so much better than this Falcons team. Falcons have played really, really flat as of late. But surprisingly to me, this is still a lot harder of a pick than you would think it would be. It's prime time on Monday night. Kirk Cousins historically is not a great primetime guy. So I'm just going to go with my gun on this one. I'm going to say that the Rams cover, but I do not think it's going to be a blowout like a lot of people would expect. Maybe Falcons lose by 10, but it's still somewhat competitive to go late into the game. Falcons are definitely starting to be on a little more of a heater. They look a lot better with Kirk Cousins than Michael Penix. I will preface that. But Rams are making a Super Bowl push. They look like just the most loaded, stacked team. So I really like the Rams in this one. So that rounds out all my picks. 13-2 last week. Hopefully we can continue that hot streak here. A lot of really weird spreads, a lot of tough ones to pick. So just a recap, we got Cowboys covering the 7 points, Lions covering the 7.5, Broncos covering the 13.5, Texans underdog taking the game, +1.5, lose by 1, whatever, I'll take that too. Packers covering the 3 points, surprised how low that one is. Seahawks covering the 7.5. You got non-prime time Sam Darnold against the struggling Panthers. You have the Cardinals covering against the Beagles. This is kind of a hot take. I just think that Bengals defense, Cardinals offense still has some fight in them, even with all those injuries. Buccaneers covering the 5.5. Really like this pick. Quinn Ewers and the Miami Dolphins are really rush dependent, and Buccaneers have a pretty solid rushing defense. Jags covering the 6.5 over the Colts, especially if it's Riley Leonard. I feel amazing about this pick. Jags have been the hottest team in the NFL for the past 6 weeks. #1 offense the past 6 weeks. Patriots covering the 13.5 over the Jets. Jets have been piss poor, just got blown out by the Saints. Patriots are still fighting for their division. I'd expect them to come out rolling. Saints covering the 3 points against the Titans. I just think Tyler Shuck, as of right now, has been playing better than the Titans. Saints are on a bit of a heater, 3-game winning streak. Tyler Shuck over 300 yards, 2 straight games. I like the Saints to cover this one. Steelers covering 3 points against the Browns. Super low line. I really like this one. Steelers, I think, are trying to make a push to be better than their usual above average to mediocrity level of 10 wins. So they're trying to at least win one playoff game. I think Aaron Rodgers will do whatever he can so Myles Garrett can't break that sack record and take care of the ball, which would really cause the doom of the Browns. I like the Raiders to win an upset over the Giants. Jackson Dart has been really, really bad as of late, and Geno Smith had a solid game, almost beat the Texans with some smash plays. I got the Bills covering against the Eagles. Eagles have just been on a slump. I think because of Josh Allen's last game is going to be a heater. 49ers covering against the Bears. 49ers have been the second best offense these last 6 weeks. Haven't punted in over a month. Not so sure about Caleb Williams being able to keep up in a shootout style game. As long as the 49ers don't have turnovers, they should be able to cover that one. And then finishing it off with the Rams covering against the Falcons. Primetime Kirk Cousins historically doesn't do great, and this Rams team is just so stacked and loaded. They're definitely looking like a Super Bowl favorite. And that's all my picks. Hopefully we go 16-0. That'd be really surprising. Hopefully we can at least continue last week's 13-2. Yeah, I think we got some good picks this week. So that's week 17 of the NFL. Got some Christmas games for you. It's a shame the Christmas games were really poo-poo. But check out my channel for other NFL stuff. I got my power rankings video out too, college football, some economics videos, and then just some other stuff that I like putting on there. So appreciate you guys.